Welcome to the second session of week 1, and this session includes sedimentation and design of thickener. Now this particular session considers 2 lectures. In first lecture we will speak about the sedimentation, and in design of thickener we will discuss the diameter, how to calculate the diameter of the thickener. In second lecture of this session we will speak about how to calculate height of the thickener, and we will illustrate design of the thickener through a few examples. So let us start the first lecture of this session, that is lecture 2 of week 1. So in this particular lecture we will define the sedimentation and we will see how sedimentation process proceeds. So first of all, the definition of sedimentation, that is the separation of a suspension or a slurry into a clear liquid lying above the solid residue, that is liquid is essentially free from the particles. It consists of a thick sludge containing high concentration of solids, therefore it is a process of phase separation. Now this as far as sedimentation is concerned, this is the definition where we want to have the clarified liquid from the slurry or thick sludge from the slurry. If we want to obtain that, we go for the sedimentation process. So as far as sedimentation is concerned, that is nothing but the phase separation process where we get the clarified liquid as well as thick sludge, and the feed in this case would be the slurry or the solution. So sedimentation is effectively used in water treatment process where suspended solids from water is removed using gravity. Solid particles entrained by the turbulence of moving water may be removed naturally by sedimentation in a still water of lakes and ocean. Now what is the meaning of this? That when we consider the moving water, whatever solids are available in that remains at the suspended position. However, when we consider still water, when water is not movable, what happens? The solid particle which are available in the slurry, that starts settling down, and we can get the thick sludge as well as the clarified liquid as the product. So that is nothing but the sedimentation. So one thing you have understood over here, that sedimentation proceeds when solution is available at quite still position. It should not be movable. So we have to collect the liquid in some container and then let it settle for, let it rest for some time, particle will be settled down, and then we can get the thick sludge and clarified liquid. So here we have to consider the liquid which we are considering, the solution which we are considering, that should be at quite still position. Why I am using quite? Because we are using the sedimentation process for continuous operation. So in continuous operation also we try to have least turbulence during the operation. That is why I have used the word it should be quite still, not a still. Therefore if you consider this particular diagram figure, here what is appearing is one bottle where we have put the slurry, and that slurry is completely mixed with the solid as well as solvent. So this slurry we have put over here and we rest it for some time, and then after that we can get the particles at bottom. So if you consider the bottom most section of the bottle, that is we have the solid, we have slightly larger particle in comparison to above layer, and at the top of this we have the clarified liquid. So that is the sedimentation process where slurry is allowed to remain at a still position for some time, and then we have the product of this. So when we consider this particular process, here we have two product. First is the thick sludge and second is the clarified liquid. So a sedimenter is a thickener if concentrated sludge is the desired product, and it is clarifier if clear liquid from the suspension is the desired product. So, here we have two product from the same operation. First is the thick sludge and second is the clarified liquid. If you want to see it in detail, you can visit this site. So, through this diagram we can have the idea what is the sedimentation. Now, we will see its application. The application of sedimentation is again to have clarified liquid and the sludge. So, it will be used in potable water treatment plant where sedimentation is employed in potable water treatment, where chemical coagulation and flocculation are generally used. Smaller particles are grouped together into flocks of a bigger size. It reduces the settling time of the suspended solid. Now, in this statement what we have understood is, when we are considering a smaller particle, they agglomerates or they join to each other and make a flock. Instead of this much particle, we can have the particle of bigger size because many smaller particles are joined to each other. Now, why they join? Because we add some of the additives into this for this agglomeration process and flocculation process. So, they prepare the flock, and because it becomes of higher size, it will have higher mass. So, more mg will be applicable over here. So, it will be settle faster in comparison to a smaller size. So, it is used in potable water treatment and it is also used in wastewater treatment plant. The primary treatment of sewage is removal of floating and settleable solids as well as the pollutants embedded in the suspended solids through sedimentation. So, the floating and settleable product solids are or the pollutant which are available in the solution that are separated through sedimentation. So, here reagents are used in secondary sedimentation tank, as large amount of reagents are required to treat wastewater at initial stage. Now, what is the meaning of this? At primary stage we let the slurry to settle itself. We do not add additives because wastewater treatment plants are huge in size. So, they will require more amount of reagents also. So, first it will settle in itself, then we go for the secondary sedimentation process where the amount would be slightly reduced than the initial stage, and then we use the reagents over here for further separation. So, it is used in potable water treatment as well as wastewater treatment plant. Now, as far as sedimentation is concerned, what is the advantage of this? It has excellent reproducibility. It means it generates clear liquid as well as thick sludge in a proper way. Disadvantages of sedimentation: the first is the method cannot be used for emulsions, the material does not settle, or for very dense material that settle quickly. So, here it is also not used for the material which won't settle and which are settle very fast, they also cannot be separated by this sedimentation. So, it is not used for emulsion as well as very high density material. Second disadvantage is the method depends on the ambient temperature that affect viscosity. So, that is the disadvantage, because usually the sedimenters are open tank equipment, they are open to the environment. So, when the temperature reduces in winters, viscosity of the solution will increase and it will not allow the particle to settle faster. So, obviously it will be affected by the weather and the temperature outside, and therefore, that is the disadvantage, that if we are considering this for faster, in summer we have the sufficient, we have satisfactory performance, but in winters we do not have. Orientation of non-spherical particles also influences the result. Yes, here we have the orientation of the particle. It means when when particle has different shape, let's say it has the needle kind of, so when it will fall, it will lie in this at water surface, it will be at floating condition, but when it will fall in this condition, it will settle down. So orientation will definitely affect the settling of the particles and thus the sedimentation. Another disadvantage is the technique cannot be used for mixtures of different densities. So, this technique will be used for homogeneous material. If we want to separate for different densities, then they can also be they can not settle layer by layer. So, that is when we considering the mixture, it will be in sludge we have the mixture, not layer by layer separation of different density material. So, it cannot be used for that purpose because it will settle together. So, you can understand why it is so, because when we are considering densities of different material, for example, one is having higher density, one is having lower density, but if the particle which has lower density, if it has higher size, it will settle faster. And if the material is having higher density and the size is very small, it will be settle after the larger particle of a smaller density. So, that the sludge whatever sludge we obtain, that would be the mixture of different material, not layer by layer material we can obtain through this sedimentation process. So, that is the disadvantage of this. Now, factors which influence the sedimentation process, the first one is the density. Greater the density of the particle, faster particles settle. So, obviously the density will be a factor along with the size. So, when density of the material will be high, it will settle faster, but if it has the size different sizes, so that we can obtain as a mixer. But obviously we can have the idea like if it has the higher density and two particle is having same size, one is having higher density, one is having lower density. So, obviously higher density particle will settle faster. Size, larger the particle, faster they settle, that we have already discussed, that if particle size is higher, we can have more mass in that, mg will be applicable more in that, so it will be settle faster. Temperature, lower the temperature of the water, higher the viscosity, so lower the particles settle. So, here we have in the previous slide we have discussed the effect of weather on the sedimentation. In winter it's settle slowly in comparison to summer. Now, why it is so? Because that is it has the effect of the temperature. When in summer we have higher temperature, viscosity will be less, particle will settle faster. However, when temperature is low in winter, viscosity would be higher and the settling will be slower. Now, another factor is the turbulence. More turbulent the flow is, slower the particles settle. Turbulence affect the settlement of the particles greatly, because when stream will be movable, the particle which are available in that, it will move with this, it will not have sufficient time to settle, it will move with the particle, if it will move with the fluid. So, turbulence is not required, turbulence is not desirable as far as sedimentation is concerned. Stability, instability can result in short circuit flow influencing the settling of particle. So, here we need the stability in settlement of the particle. Next factor is bottom soar. During bottom soar, settled particle are re-suspended and washed out with the effluent. Now, what is bottom soar is basically the sludge is sludge available at the bottom of the tank. So, when we clean this, it will be taken out, it will be suspended and washed out with the effluent. Flocculation, it results in larger particles and thus it is increasing the settling velocity. So, flocculation will increase the size of the particle and thus the settlement of the particle will be faster, as we have discussed in potable water treatment system. So, these are the few factors which affect the sedimentation process. Now, here we have the sedimentation general facts. The solid particles settle under two different conditions, the free as well as hindered settling. So, when the particle will be settled in the sedimentation, here we have two conditions. First is free settling and second is hindered settling. Free settling is basically if a particle falls, particle is available in the solution and it will settle, it will not affected by the movement of other particle or by the availability of the wall of the tank. So, it will not affected by other circumstances, it settle on its own flow, on its own velocity. Therefore, if the particle falls in a gravitational field through a stationary fluid and their movement is not affected by the walls of the container as well as other particle, the settling is termed as free settling. So, when it settle with its own velocity without affecting by other factor, we can call this as the free settling. Now, free settling occurs when the concentration of the solution is less than 1%. When the concentration is increased, it means more particle is available in the solution. So, it will be definitely affected by the movement of other particle as well as the wall. So, there we call as the hindered settling, because the movement of particle is affected by the movement of other particles. So, free settling as well as hindered settling both will occur in sedimentation. So, here we have another fact that if a clarified liquid, that is the liquid as free from the particles as possible, is produced, then this is called the clarifying capacity of the sedimenter. It means when we have clear liquid which is free from the solid as much as possible, we can call it the clarifying capacity of the sedimenter. If overflow liquid must be free from the particles, then the upward velocity of the liquid must be always less than the settling velocity of the particles. And thus, for a given throughput, the clarifying capacity depends on the diameter or cross section area of the tank. Now, what is the meaning of this particular statement? That when we need the clarified liquid, its capacity will depend on the diameter of the tank. Now, why it is so? Because when we have solution in the sufficient diameter or sufficient cross sectional area tank, what will happen? The particle will start settling down, and particle will start settling down with more velocity, and liquid which is coming up is having lesser velocity than the particle. Otherwise, what will happen? Particle will take the liquid will take particle with itself and it will remain suspended. So, when we provide larger cross sectional area, the fluid which is entering into this, its velocity reduces, then the velocity by which it is entering. So, when it comes to the sufficient cross sectional area, the velocity of particle which is moving in this direction, that will be slower down. So, it will start settling down with faster rate, and liquid which is penetrate through this particle, it will have lesser velocity. So, what will happen? The particle will settle in a lesser time and we have clarified liquid. So, it all depends on the diameter or cross sectional area of the tank. So, if we want to get the clarified liquid, diameter is the main concern, that is the conclusion of this statement. Secondly, if a thick sludge as concentrated with the solid as possible is obtained, then the degree of thickening of the sludge is controlled by the time of residence of the particles in the tank, and hence by the depth of the tank below the feed inlet. Now, when we obtain the thick sludge, what will happen, the particle will have to stay in the tank for sufficient time. It means when we start collecting the sludge, it should not be very immediate, then the feed is entering, some time is required. So when we need thick sludge, height is the main concern of the thickener. So as far as sedimentation is concerned, there are two design factors. First is its diameter, on which clarified liquid capacity depends, and the thick sludge capacity, the thick sludge production capacity will depend upon the height of the tank. So since the industrial thickeners are constructed in large size, even a minor over design of the tank could fetch significant financial losses to the concerned. So in subsequent slide you will see the diameter of the tank is very high, sometimes it is 150 meter also. So if we are providing such high diameter tank, height should also be a factor in this. So what will happen, though it as its size is too large, even if we a little bit over design the tank, the financial loss will be significant. So we have to design the sedimenter very carefully. Now here we have the batch sedimentation test. Gravity separation can obviously be applied to those particles which have density greater than the water. So that is the primary requirement, that we can have the settlement of the solid when it has density more than the water, otherwise it will remain suspended. So goal of the gravity sedimentation is, first is to produce clarified effluent, and second is produce a highly concentrated solid sludge stream. A primary study of phenomena is usually performed in laboratory on a sample of slurry in the batch sedimentation test. So here we are going to discuss what is batch sedimentation test. Now before this we should understand why we need this batch sedimentation test. As I have already told you, this is the continuous process. So we are not going to design directly the continuous system. First we will consider the batch sedimentation test. We will carry out batch sedimentation test, and then we will transpose this data to design the continuous system. Now why it is so? Because when we consider the sedimentation process, what is the whole process is, when we consider consider the tank, and from one side feed is entering and particle start settling down. Now at initial stage what will happen, as the particle is spread continuously throughout the surface, they are quite apart from each other, so they will start settle faster. But as far as they move down, they can be affected by the flow of other particle, velocity of other particle or presence of other particle, and they will face more and more hindrance. So once we carry out the sedimentation process, initially it is faster and after that it slows down. So that we can understand that it is nothing but the time dependent process, and many other things happens, like if larger particles come over the smaller particle, it takes the smaller particle by its velocity, not the velocity of the smaller particle. So there are many complications which appears during the operation of the sedimentation. Therefore initially we will do the sedimentation process at batch level, where we consider the same slurry for which we have to design the continuous system. So to design the continuous system for the slurry, first we have to carry out batch sedimentation test using that slurry. Now the procedure of batch sedimentation test is, it is quite simple. A sample of slurry is taken in a cylinder and is kept under observation. That's all we have to do. Like we have to take the transparent glass in which we have to fill the slurry, which is completely mixed in itself. So what will happen, we have to observe the behavior which is carrying out in the glass cylinder. So if you see this figure, here we have the glass cylinder where we have put the sample of the slurry for which we have to design the continuous system, and this slurry is completely mixed in it. It means there will not be settlement, the settlement of the particle is not started at time t equal to 0. The complete concentration of this solution is homogeneous. So, the height of the free surface from the bottom of the cylinder H0 at time t equal to 0 is first noted down. Now, what is H0? H0 is the total height of the solution which is available in the glass cylinder. So, that should be H0 at time t equal to 0. The test is conducted under isothermal condition, since temperature variation can cause free convection current in the medium. So, here we have to carry out the whole process in isothermal condition. Now, what is the process? The process is very simple. You consider this figure. In first figure we have this glass cylinder where homogeneous solution is available up to height h equal to H0, that we have already discussed. Now, what we have to observe? We have to observe the height of the clarified section. Now, what is clarified section? Once we have the homogeneous mixture which is completely mixed in a glass cylinder, when we keep it for some time, what will happen? The solid which is available in this solid particle, they start settling. So, total volume of the solution will remain same. However, the from the top we will see some clear water zone to be appear, and it will keep on it will be keep on moving. The solid will keep on moving, and we have more and more clear water zone. So, after some time we have a few zone in the glass cylinder. To observe that, we have to take the glass cylinder, not the cylinder which is not through which we cannot see. So, we have to take the glass cylinder always for this test. Now, what happens after some time? We have 4 regions into this cylinder. At the top we have the clarified zone, that is clear liquid will appearing in this, and below this we have the zone settling, or we also call as thickening zone. Here in thickening zone, the concentration of the solution will be almost uniform. Particle will settle, but in this particular zone this concentration will be almost uniform. Now, below this we have a section which we call as transition zone, where the concentration varies significantly, and at the bottom of the tank, here we have the compression zone, where the sludge starts accumulating. So, here we have 4 zones, among which the transition zone disappear quickly, and after some time we have only 3 zones, that is the clarified zone, zone settling, that is thickening zone, and compression zone. Only 3 zones will be available, and after some time what will happen? When we observe this 3 zone, the height of the clarified zone will be increased, and height of the clarified zone will be increased, and similarly height of compression zone will be increased, because more and more sludge will start accumulating in this section. So, this height, compression zone height as well as clarified zone height, it will increase. However, height of this thickening zone or zone settling will keep on decreasing. So, once this section, the height of thickening zone will keep on decreasing. After some time, one situation appears where we have only 2 zones, that is clarified zone as well as compression zone. Now, the time at which this 2 zone will appear, or I say the time at which the thickening zone disappear, that time we call as the critical sedimentation time. So, at critical sedimentation time we have only two zones. First is the clarified liquid zone and second we have the compression zone. So after that what will happen, the height of compression zone will further keep on decreasing, because particle which are all particle which are available in the solution, they have entered into the compression zone and they further start settling through hindered. So that process is very slow, but the height of compression zone will keep on decreasing. And similarly height of clarified zone will keep on increasing. So that is nothing but the batch sedimentation test. Now what we have to observe over here is time as well as height of interface. Which interface? The interface of thickening zone as well as clarified liquid zone, that height we have to observe from the bottom after certain time. So at time t equal to 0, though that interface will not available, we have to consider total height of the solution available in the cylinder, so that we have denoted as h naught. At time proceed t1, the height should be h1. So that height is basically the height of this interface. So at t equal to t1, this is h1, and similarly at t equal to infinity we have h equal to h infinity, which is nothing but the total height of the compression zone, and it takes too much time to achieve this compression zone height h infinity. Now this data is translated into the continuous process to scale up the design of industrial sedimenter. So you can understand that this experiment we have performed with the given slurry, and this data is now transposed into the continuous system where that slurry will be used for continuous sedimentation process. So the main reasons for the modification of settling rate of particle is, so the main reason for modification of settling rate of the particles in concentrated suspension are, the first reason is, if a significant size range of the particles is present, the large particles are settling relative to a suspension of smaller ones, so that the effective density and viscosity of the fluids are increased. So here we have one reason for this settlement, that larger particle will settle faster in comparison to smaller one, and that is quite obvious also. So once it will be carried out, the density and viscosity of the fluid increased. Which fluid? Which is settling, not the clarified zone. So upper velocity of the fluid displaces during settling is appreciable in the concentrated sludge, a concentrated suspension. The smaller particles tend to be dragged down by motion of the larger particles and are therefore accelerated. This we have already discussed. And finally, the reason is for the settlement is, because of particles are closer together in a concentrated suspension, flocculation is more marked in an ionized solvent, and the effective size of the smaller particle is increased, and therefore the settlement will be faster. So these are few reasons which are mainly affected for the settlement, mainly affected by the particle, and which are responsible also for the settlement of the particle. Now the method of operating a batch process is still practiced in small industry, but its shortcomings are obvious. So once the plants grew larger, the need for continuous operation becomes inevitable. So here we have already carried out the test at batch condition. In some small industries, batch sedimentation is used, but for larger plant the continuous operation is required. So we need the design, we have to design the thickener for continuous operation. So the trend in this direction started in the late 19th century, when heavy duty applications such as iron ore, coal and other beneficiation processes have grown rapidly. So here the design of continuous system is already started in 19th century for beneficiation of coal and other minerals. The high time for thickeners was in the 60s, when the metallurgical industries were booming and sizes of up to 150 meter diameter were constructed. So here you can observe that we have the diameter of tank is 150. So such huge diameter of tank, this is one example only, we have lesser size also, but you can imagine the size, larger size of this. So that's therefore we have to design the thickener very carefully, because slightly over designing of this will affect the, will give the financial losses to the industry person. So if you see this particular figure, here we have the sedimenter which is huge in size. So you can imagine we have to design this very carefully. We cannot expect slightly over designed thickener. Now as far as design of thickener is concerned, we will go for the continuous operation. So here we have the continuous process, where here we have the thickener where feed enters continuously and zones will be formed in between inside the tank, and at the bottom we have the thick sludge. So that is taken out continuously. So here we have the inlet as flow rate volumetric flow rate A and with the concentration Ca, and sludge is taking out with the volumetric flow D with the concentration Cd, and we have the formation of clear liquid as B stream. So B is almost free from the particles. So that is the continuous system, where the bottom is slightly conical, and that conical we have kept for a purpose of easy removal of, easy collection of the sludge which is accumulated at the bottom. So here we have the parameters which will use for the governing equation for this design of thickener, and these parameter, first is we have defined the flow rate in meter cube per second. So that is all flow rates are volumetric flow rates. Concentration of solid we have defined as kg of solid per meter cube of slurry, that is the unit of density also, but that is kg of solid per meter cube of slurry. Assumption, what assumption we have taken is the overflow liquid is free from the solid. So B does not contain any solid that we have assumed, that is the clear liquid. Now make the balance over here. First of all we go for the component balance. In component balance, what will happen, if you see ACA equal to DCD, it means volumetric flow of A into concentration of A, that is Ca equal to volumetric flow of underflow, or we can call it outlet stream also, and its concentration Cd, because B is free from the solid. So B will not be considered in component balance. Further, overall fluid balance we have taken as A 1 minus Ca by rho minus D 1 minus Cd by rho equal to B. Now as far as fluid is concerned, B is completely free from the solid, so that we have considered completely. Now what is A? A we have taken as 1 minus Ca by rho. Now what is this 1 minus C? Now what is this Ca by rho? A is the concentration of inlet feed, and rho is the density of solid. So when we consider these two, that would be nothing but the fraction of solid. So 1 minus fraction of solid, when we are considering, that should be the fraction of liquid. So therefore that fraction of liquid is multiplied with A, and similarly D is multiplied with 1 minus Cd by rho. So that is the fluid balance, where rho is the density of the solid. Now from above equation, that is from component balance and in overall balance, we will eliminate D from the component balance, and after rearranging this we have this equation ACA 1 by Ca minus 1 by Cd equal to B. Now dividing both sides of this equation by cross sectional area, that is AR of the tank. So ACA by AR, ACA is basically the mass flow rate of the feed, that is Q. Now why it is Q? Because if you consider this A, its unit is it is volumetric flow meter cube per second, and Ca is basically the kg of solid per meter cube of slurry. So that should be the multiplication of this should be kg per second. So this Q is the mass flow rate of the feed divided by AR equal to B is available over here, that is divided by AR, and that whole is divided by 1 by Ca minus 1 by Cd. Now this B by AR, B is what? B is the clarified zone and B is the volumetric flow divided by cross sectional area of this. So once we consider B by A, that will be nothing but the velocity of the liquid, clarified liquid, which is moving upward. So that we have denoted as x, and that is nothing but the sedimentation velocity or settling velocity of the particle or rate of sedimentation. So here we have consider ACA by AR equal to x by 1 by Ca minus 1 by Cd. Now this equation is applicable when we have assumed that the concentration inside the sedimenter and that is of outlet stream or underflow stream, the concentration of these two should be equal. However, in sedimenter what happened, the concentration inside the tank will continuously change. Therefore, instead of considering the feed, inlet feed and underflow, we have to consider one layer where the concentration will almost be uniform. So that we call as the capacity limiting layer. So that in that layer the flow is we have denoted with the capital L, and the concentration of that layer is Cl, which is moving downward. So we can replace ACA by AR with LCL by AR, and that is x by 1 by Cl minus 1 by Cd. So this is the final equation for design of thickener. So this is the equation where values of LCL by AR should be determined at different values of x and Cl, and minimum value of LCL by AR will find the maximum value of AR, which should be the thickener cross sectional area. Now what is the meaning of this? That once we have to what we have to calculate from here is the cross sectional area, and then only we will be able to calculate the diameter. So to calculate this we need we have two variation. First is the variation of x and second is the variation of Cl, because layer will be moving from upper to bottom. So concentration of the layer Cl will keep on moving. However, concentration of underflow will be constant. So only two variable x as well as Cl. Now how I will find the value of x? That is nothing but the sedimentation velocity. To calculate this x value, we have to use the batch sedimentation test data. So you can see this figure here. We have the batch sedimentation data which contains time as well as height, so that we have to plot in over here height of the interface, and at this section we have to we will consider the time. All that data we have to plot in this. So at particular time, at particular point we have to draw the tangent, and we have to see the velocity of that at that point. And how I can calculate the velocity? That is dh by dt. So the slope of the tangent to the curve at any point r, that is the point r, which is correspond to t is equal to TL, gives the instantaneous rate of sedimentation. And similarly we can calculate velocity at different points while drawing the tangent over here and calculate dh by dt value. So different velocity at different time we can find from this. So x we have already find. Cl how I can determine? Its relation is hi Cl equal to Ca h naught, where hi is the height of interface if all solids present were at the concentration Cl. So how I can find hi is, hi we can find at any point. If you see this figure, we can find hi at any point where I have drawn the tangent, where it will cut the y axis there, that point we call as hi. So here we have drawn different value of x as well as CL. CL I can find by different HI value. Now once we draw this, we can calculate LCL by CA. Now LCL by CA, if you observe, it has this curvature which is parabolic nature. Now how it will be affected? It has only two variable. First variable is x and second variable is CL. We can understand that once CL will be increased, what is CL is the concentration in that layer. So when this CL will increase, the liquid which is moving through this, its velocity will be, the rate of sedimentation will keep on decreasing. The velocity of clear liquid will keep on decreasing because of presence of other particles. So what will happen at some point, initial point x will dominate, and if you see this CL, that will come in numerator also. So after it, here we have we can observe as the, we can consider as the multiplication of x as well as CL. So in some part x will dominate and in some part CL will dominate, therefore we have this parabolic kind of curve. So once we have drawn this curve, the bottommost line, bottommost point of this will give the minimum value of LCL by AR. Now once I have the minimum value of LCL by AR, from this we can find the maximum value of AR, that is the cross sectional area. So value of A corresponding to lower value of LCL by A cannot be directly used for final design. It must be multiplied by two safety factors. So A we have already calculated, that is nothing but AR. I should write over here AR. So AR we can calculate by LCL by AR graph, and it will be multiplied by two factor. First is F1, which varies from 1.1 to 1.25. It is used to incorporate variations in feed characteristics such as temperature, pH, particle size and solid concentration. And similarly, second factor we have is F2, which moves from 1.1 to 1.5, and it takes care of the turbulence at the feed inlet. So here you see we have calculated, we have derived the expression for cross sectional area, and through which we can directly calculate the diameter of the tank. So this session I have to stop over here. We will consider the height of sedimenter in next section. So that's all for now. Thank you.